So SSL, this was invented by Netscape. Have you guys heard of Netscape? You heard of Netscape? Netscape was like the first .com that was a huge, huge hit. And actually the reason why they were a huge hit is because they invented this. So this is the first way when you could securely communicate over the internet, and that meant you could do e-commerce at all. Before this was invented, you were stuck. Like everything was clear text and all this other stuff. Oh, bringing back memories for somebody. Oh, back in the day. Anyway, they were bought by AOL. And Mozilla was spun off. They made a lot of money because what they would do is the Netscape browser was the only browser that had SSL in it at all. And then they sold servers for a lot of money. And then Microsoft came along and this ended up becoming a standard, and Microsoft supported SSL. And then they were giving their stuff away free and yeah, whatever. Okay, so the SSL, here's how it goes. We use the PKI. So again, public key infrastructure. And what we're going to do is I'm going to authenticate the server, and I want to encrypt the traffic. And this is just a general sort of note on how all this stuff works. So here's how we go. There's actually 3 parties involved in getting a secure website or doing this. First thing you need is a certificate authority. And we talked about this. These are the people that issue the public-private key pairs, and they make sure they're like valid, right? So they send, and let's say I'm Amazon.com. They send a certificate that is for that specific website. Okay? So it'll be identified as belonging to Amazon.com. There's a private key, which is what Amazon keeps on their server, and then the public key, which is what Amazon gives out. Okay, so that's sort of step 1. Now, when I connect, oops, I thought I was getting a new color pencil and pen, but I'll connect on my laptop because I like it. And I will put away the black one and get the blue one out. Right? When I go to connect to Amazon, I send my request, and it's for HTTPS, right? When I go to HTTPS, that actually changes my port number. I'm not going to, I think it's 447. That's not really important. But in response, they respond with their public key. Okay, so they send their public key back to me. Then I verify the key. Okay, so I take this public key and I say, look, this person says they are Amazon. I send that to the certificate authority and they verify it. So they're the ones that'll say it's okay. So remember in Heartbleed, people were getting a hold of Amazon's private key. And once the private key gets out, the certificate's no good. And so they need a new one. And what should happen is, if I go with an old public key for Amazon, the certificate authority should say that's expired. Because what happens here now, when I get this public key back, now I know it's Amazon. And you know in your browser, it'll usually turn green or something. Oh, I'll tell you that. So if the lock appears or it's green, I can't remember in the browser bar, that means you are sure you're connected to Amazon and you verified it with the certificate authority. Now, if it says, sometimes it'll say something like it's a self-issued key, that means you can't identify for sure that it's Amazon. Sometimes it'll be expired because these guys make you pay a yearly fee. And there's a while back that ODU let their keys all expire. Those were fun times. Then every time you connect to Leo Online, it's like, hey, this key appears to be valid, but it has expired. And so you had to be like, okay, ODU, renew your stinking keys. So what do we got here? So there's self-generated. That's not okay. And there's also expired. We'll put X's by them. And then, I don't know, compromised is okay. Oh, what's step 4? Okay, well, step 4 is pretty simple. I just encrypt, and I've already told you this one. Step 4, I encrypt a session key. And that's the key we use to communicate from then on. So they use the session key back and forth, or to encrypt all the traffic, right? So remember, I have authenticated Amazon.com. How does Amazon.com authenticate that I'm Russell Haynes? No. I'd logged in, remember? Here I have an account with them, right? So I don't have a public key. None of us really have public keys, right? Otherwise, we'd be signing our email. So we don't have them. It authenticates Amazon and not me.